25 are the floors on the platform, which are the same floor, basically, just two different quadrants. And what do you have for us?
Actually, the plant remains. They look different.
Okay, the plant remains from that area look different, okay? You just speak up a little bit more.
And in 8225, we have little plant remains. And all the materials are in bad condition, very bad condition. Very few serious, very burnt. Very few micro remains, microplant remains.
That was 8225?
Yes.
And how did you look at 8217 as
Yes.
well?
This has the rich composition, and we have many different types of seeds. Most of them are wild seeds again. Some of them are like wetland plant seeds, like polygonal again. I believe that because we find polygonal very often, maybe the nutlets were used as food.
As food?
Yes, because we find them very often.
Okay.
Or maybe the raisins were eaten. This is why we find nutlets, just because of the processing.
Okay.
And there are many chaff remains, all broken, some serious, that again shows that after the processing, the remains after the processing. But I don't know why they are there, together with the pots. And there are many nutshells like almond and pistachio, which are vegetable plants. And there are some nutshells again, together with the fleshy parts of the fruits, but I don't know what nutshells they are.
So then when you look at those two units, 8225 and 17, they seem to be different in terms of the plants, and yet they are the same floor and the same packing, one next to another. They are both in this area. Well, just enough. They will be able to see. Okay. So one of them is, this is the 17, it's the 17, and the 25 is this one.
17 is where the ceramics were
The
found.
ceramics were found, yeah. And, but in the
soot.
That's right, right here. So do these both look like your typical packing and floor, or do they, even though they're different?
Maybe 8225 is typical packing because there are not much plant remains, but 8217 is different because it's rich, very rich.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, maybe a little feasting on top of your platform, in one corner of your platform, with breaking the pots and leaving them in the spot.
That's right.
Before you
Very burning thing.
start the next floor. Yeah, well, it's probably very significant that unit that we found the pots with a lot of organic deposits and a lot of.
We're taking the pot residue for analysis, so it's be interesting to see if it relates anything to what you just told us.
But yet there are mostly the wild plants.
Yes, mostly. And the nutshells again show that there is wild almond and wild pistachio, which are used for vegetable plants.
But could this be part of the packing of vegetable stuff that they would put on the floor? Because often we find that they have a layer of grass or some such material that they put on top of the floor before they apply new packing for the next floor up. So like could that be that? Could that be just lying down the grasses? You go out, cut your grasses, you lie them down on this floor, and then you put packing and other stuff on top, and then we find that in forms of phytoliths, as we have here in this. On this floor we had that, and on this floor we are now having the same. So if Kerry just stands up for the moment, we have a lot of that. The whole floor is uniformly covered with it. And then the same situation was here, and we found a lot of it in other instances, but not so completely covered floors. Not so.
But the ones of nutshell and the fleshy fruit remains doesn't support.
Does not. It looks more like foods mixed with wild.
And there are lots of chaff.
And lots of chaff, which is not. All right, so we should have given you the quadrant next to it, so we can see whether in the southern part of the platform it's different from the northern part.
And also there's one type of seed which is, I think, a field wheat.
What is that?
Field wheat.
Oh, weed. Just any weed.
Yeah,
occurs
one
in
that occurs with grain crops, right, with wheat and
Uh-huh. But how would that get in there with grains, right?
After harvesting.
All right. So 8231. What was our 8231, guys? I can't remember. The oven. It was the floor of our big oven that was in the phase, above the phase that we are in now. Okay. Did you have anything on your show?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Well, no.
Nothing
at all.
Nothing
at all. Completely clean from obsidian.
Completely.
Yeah.
Not one little
No.
tiny
Not
fraction
at all.
of obsidian.
that's good. Clean.
Yeah,
No
clean,
use,
but,
good use.
but in terms of the botanical, it's not clean. It's very rich. How about microphone or phone, anything? Give us something, Lisa. You have to repeat that.
Looking from 8252 and just 5 and 10 fragments from 8217.
Just 5 fragments in 8225.
The other way around.
Oh, in 82. Oh, so again in the 17 that was rich in our botanical stuff. We have like 5.
Not exactly rich.
So it's not bone clean. It's obsidian clean, but in terms of bone there is present. But do you, when you looked at our other packings, did you have, well, you had similar situations, right? Very few bone fragments. So,
One that was there, but slightly more, but not a lot more.
right. So for you, it looks like that the rest of the packing, it doesn't seem any different. No. Well, so we then go to our 8231, our almond floor.
Sample is a low density.
Low density, yes.
It was 8 liters. Sample was 8 liters. There are little plant material, some wood and some cereal and chalk. Cereal amount is higher than chalk, but both of them in a very bad conditions. Burn cereal and chalk. There are 1 piece of pancana and 1 piece herbaceous matter. Most important thing is this sample seeds are very good conditions and many varieties of seeds, wild seeds. from elsewhere, or it seems don't belong to here,
To the oven.
to the oven, because very good conditions, many varieties of seeds, but cereal and chaff very few and bad conditions.
So does then cereals and chaff, they do belong to the oven? They seem as though they
Yes.
belong, but the rest of the materials, materials seem not to belong to it.
Yeah.
So is that typical situation for ovens?
Actually, it must be more rich, but
So it's very
we
poor.
just started to take something like that.
Well, no, it's gone. The whole oven is gone. So we've taken, we've given you the floor, the entire floor of the oven, and that's the stuff that you were looking at. And then below the floor we have just the base construct, the base of the oven, and a little bit of the rim, and that all went as a separate unit, and we didn't give you any of that yet.
It's clean oil.
It's very clean.
Really clean.
Well, not surprisingly, it's been around since the last year, and we'll clean it. But yeah, it actually, in a way, I'm not surprised because that oven had a very poorly fired floor in comparison with these. Like this is much better. That had very poorly fired, very dark colors, brownish, dark brown, blackish stuff that was just seems to be used for low temperature burning and no high temperatures, no really real oxidation, all of that. Yeah, it seemed to be different. That one seems to be different in terms of the burning pattern from the other ones that we have in the house. And it could be different because it was used to burn. Oh, yeah, that's most likely it. I suppose these we didn't have anything from there. You usually don't get.
These.
One piece. I do. Do you have a theory? Yeah.
No, I don't.
But that oven seems to be a bit more clean and obsidian than the other one. The other one had a lot of luminosity on it. That one doesn't seem to have very much.
Right. Well, it's also, it could have been that the oven that we're talking about was, even though it was quite monumental in size, was actually used for a short time period. And it was, and that could have been another reason for it to be to have such a low temperature burning of the floor and the rim, because that oven was put in just before they had a major problem with the west wall. So it could be that oven actually was for short time in use, and it was covered up with floor. And then we have again another oven in the next phase, getting back to its old kitchen area. Well, anyway, but they did, even though it was in use for a short time period, they had to cook something and eat something, so it should have a lot of plant remains. So this one was nice as well, much better than the other ones. It probably was easier to sweep, because when that oven was in use, we had a step between this floor in the center and in this whole western area of the house. At this point, at this phase, there wasn't really a step, but from that phase in which the oven was, we had a real step. And so it was easy to sweep up and clean quickly. And they probably had to take it all away someplace, because otherwise it would have stayed in the center of the house, which wasn't a very good idea. So they would probably sweep it very, very well and then take and dump it outside. Okay. Okay, we have a lot of ideas about feet 646. Not bad. 8227.
Those floor around.
Ah, okay. So the floor around here.
Yes. But it's actually not dirty.
Sorry.
Start with a very low density and just for there's no 4 and 2 millimeter remains, plant remains, just 1 millimeter and 1 piece of cereal in batch condition and 1 piece of chalk and 10 pieces of wood. That's it.
So it seems like the typical mixture for the oven area, around the oven. Right? All the nicely swept. Anybody else have anything on that? Not terribly interesting. And so 8218. Now the exciting stuff. 8218 then is we have two samples. Sample
From the black stuff.
3 and sample 1, right?
Sample 3 and sample 4.
And sample 4. Okay, Carrie, now tell us.
Sample 3 was the black stuff, and sample 4 was the little thin organic layer above the floor.
So 3 then is the same as what Tish is cleaning now, which is the fill, the original fill of the bin. This is just, we have just the floor of the bin because the rest of it was truncated. But there is like 2 centimeters between the floor and the rim, and in it we have this fill that actually was sealed on another floor up. It was sealed, large portion of it we could see being sealed. And the rest of it was not, and it was seeping out. And that's what you got as a sample, and you will get this as a sample. This should be much purer.
You want it dry or floated?
Okay, so Katie, tell us about it.
It was almost entirely cereal and chaff.
Oh.
There was hardly any wood at all, which is really unusual. Usually when there's mud, I mean, samples I've seen with a lot of cereal always have much more wood, and there's just no wood at all. Or very, very little. And the cereal and chaff are both in mixed conditions, different temperatures and stage of evacuation, which probably means that it wasn't burned in the bin, but somewhere else, and maybe several different burnings. And I don't know if it was being stored because there's so much chaff that usually cereal would be cleaner in the store, unless they were saving it for last winter. So I don't know if it was just left over from some processing, and for some reason, I don't know why they would store it.
Can you tell what kind of cereal?
I can't identify any species, but it looked like there was both different, both barley and wheat.
So barley and wheat in not really prepared for storage, and yet in the bin storage, something that seemed to be a storage bin. Or maybe these are not storage bins then. Maybe there's some other type of
They're processed, some way of processing.
processing
Pre-storage. It's pre-storage.
or post-storage or pre-storage.
Pre-storage.
So processing of the plants before you store them.
Yes.
It looks like that. Ooh, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, it could have been that they actually did not have very tall sides, rims, that they were fairly shallow, and just for, as you said, for temporary storage while they were processing, and then they would be moved some other place.
Well, this would be the
results of the processing, the leftover bits, not the actual things waiting to be processed.
Right. But the stuff that had been processed and then waiting to be taken away and put in storage. Like this is like temporary storage.
This would probably be the refuse of the processing, not the actual processed or to be processed cereal. Because like when you find things that, because it's not like something that was burned in situ.
So it was like dumped deliberately as a kind of rubbish.
It makes sense. It makes sense then that they had left it in here. Right. Because it was what they considered to be trash.
So maybe
And all the good things that were sitting above it, they took and stored or used, and this is like the, you know, the trash at the bottom.
Or maybe this is sort of indicative that they were using this room for trash at one point.
Oh, you mean collecting the
Yeah.
trash? But it wouldn't be so uniform. No, it would be.
This wasn't at the same time as that.
No, I didn't mean trash
Oh,
in
no, I'm
terms
just
of
wondering.
rubbish. I meant the stuff that
The
sorts out from the cereals when they prepare them, and you know, it just falls down to the bottom. Like I don't know what do you call it? There has to be a term for that. When the stuff that collects at the bottom that falls off, the seeds and.
There's a term in beer making, but I'm not sure it's appropriate. Well, what is that? I'm trying to remember. It's like leaves or something like that.
Oh,
The
right,
leaves. David, come on, say it.
Well, there's sparging.
The chaff.
Sparging.
Yeah, the
Well, but the chaff.
should have
Chaff.
separated.
It's a great word.
So there's different stages of.
You sparge the grain to get the wort, is that right?
Not quite.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the word.
But
Oh,
just what you're saying, if it's the leftover from the refuse of the cereals, then they had to have been burned at some point. Like they cleaned out the refuse and then burned them and dumped them there. It wouldn't be just what filtered down to the bottom and what's left, because it has to have been charred at some point.
Did you Lisa have anything to say? No. Oh, you had two pieces. Straight pieces.
Boring, just a breed.
And the other sample then, Katie?
The other sample was very similar, except that it had a lower density, but it still also had a lot of. Actually, most of the material was in less than 1 millimeter, the smaller size categories. So it was a more fragmented version of the other sample and lower density. It was probably just stuff that kind of leaked out.
Yeah. Well, it actually was not inside the bin. It's not the fill of the bin. It's the stuff that was on the outside of that bin and the other bins right there where Tish is now sitting. It was really that. It was that nice, you know, the crust on the floor of little bit of packing mixed with whatever occupation deposit. So that's what that sample is. And so that would then support the idea of this being the processing area and temporary storage and all that. It was found actually on this whole floor, surface right here. You can still see the remains of the black on the floor in that area. That's nice. That's great. So that is actually concludes our priorities for this week. What should we do? Yeah, what should we do for next week?
Maybe more, why don't we have more?
You know what? It'd be interesting to compare the remains that we had on this nice white floor with the stuff that we have on this dirty floor over here, which seemed like pure packing, massive layer of packing. But, right? Okay. So will we, what was that unit?
81.
Sample 2 and sample 6.
So what is the difference between the two samples?
Sample 2 was the first one that we took, basically off the top of the packing, and sample 6 was the one that sort of over that, the packing sort of in here, which was around the around both this thing, whatever it is, storage bin, and around the feature 750, yeah.
Right, so so they're both packing, right?
They're both packing.
But one is closer to the floor.
One is closer to the floor.
And that one is?
6.
Okay, sample 6, that's what you should look at. So it's 8251, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
8251, sample 6. Do you want to look some more? It's this area. It's this dirty floor, it's this different gray floor. Do you want to look at this film also? Yeah, let's do that then. Let's see if it's the same as the stuff too. 8293 unit. We haven't done much here yet, so nothing from this area that's much different from before.
What of that stuff, horrible stuff down in the northwest, northeast?
We could, why would that be?
Catch all the debris that's ever gone in the house.
Well, we could, you know what, we could have some of this packing.
Yeah,
It's
this
quite
one.
unusual packing on this platform.
They're burned, it's heavily burned.
Yeah.
It
This
was,
platform, yeah.
Oh, actually, I didn't have those ones, you have them.
8263.
Right. Was that divided in different?
It was divided mainly because of size, not because of area. But the second one, we have more of it because we went from that, away from it. So I can get a sample that would be more likely to have it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We got the 6 of 8263.
8263 sample 6.
Or sample 9.
Packing
Probably
of the
sample
four
6.
sets.
No,
Wait,
sample 6.
so
Sample 6.
6. Okay.
Which end is that? Northern.
It's the middle school one, because we went from out, and then did that one, last one.
So this sample for us is interesting because in the sense that it's similar, it's a packing on top of between the two phases. And we have burnt remains in most of the house between these two phases. There's a packing made of very heavily burned remains. Redeposited oven stuff and such thing. But here on top of this platform, it was especially well prepared, shall we say. They used even the half or third of the part of the oven floor to pack it in like piles. So they take special care in preparing it. So let's see if they.
It should be different from the burned packing under that you did from here and under the floors over there, 162.
Yeah, that should be. Actually, I don't think at the moment we have anything else to give you guys. So yeah, an easy week from our point of view. And then Lisa wanted to have, Lisa, you wanted to take a look at the midden units so that we can follow if there's any change in the species and stuff. So have you had any chance to look at any of it? Do you want to tell us something about it?
Maybe sheet goat.
You have to speak up, please.
It's mainly sheet goat inside, but there was some more wild species that have a bit of pig, bit of equid. a little bit of cow actually. It's mainly still mainly sheep goat. A lot of it's being digested. I've really looked at units.
And so, how many units have you looked at? This is your general impression from everything that's being dug out here in this part of the building. And does it change through the layers of the minima or not? Because it's fairly nicely excavated in these.
She was having the midden as very low priority, so she's looked at many units.
Okay. So will you then, if you take a closer look at it, will you then compare it to other midden units and tell us more about it?
Is the wall with the next building, you know, from...
Oh, well, I think it's fairly far away. I can't remember now, we have to look it up on our big plan of this area. I think there is nothing closer, there is nothing between this building and the next door building, which is building 1 that was on top of this building, existing building 5. So it would make it, if I remember well, we need to check this, that would make it like about at least 2 meters or maybe more.
I think it's
3
more,
meters
it's
of
more
space.
like 12 feet, yeah, about 12, 3-4 meters.
3-4 meters of open space between this building and that building, and that all could be this huge midden. But let's see, look at the map and then we'll the plan.
The other stuff you did when you're quite narrow spaces, you've got a lot more digested bones.
Narrow spaces.
Yeah, so it's almost 2 minutes. Not digested.
Right. Yeah. We might also have for you something interesting for the next week, because there is this cup that was nicely sealed, and in it there seems to be 2 scapula bones going like this. It seems like that from the top. It might be something totally different, but it seems they could be going like that, which is interesting. We had a lot of scapula in this building used in associated with construction and closing places, and then we had them put into the platforms. That platform in the corner had one in it, and here in the remains of the screen wall we have found, I think, 5 or 6 of them, so forth. So it'd be interesting to follow it, that also are scapula. Okay. Any questions, suggestions, complaints? Okay.
See what's going on. I'm just right on top of it. That wasn't exciting. I thought it was exciting. I'm sorry, you two. It wasn't as exciting. Maybe it's definitely exciting. Like a child with enthusiasm.
So you can draw the track.
So is the wall just over, or is that?
Oh, yeah. Those are I'm working on. I'm working on it, though.